Hi, welcome to Tarot Combos. Agador is welcoming you as well. He's setting up camp here. Let me just clear off my desk. So, we are going to draw two cards and feel into the energies that are presented today. So, let's see what's here with us. Thank you for being here. All right, this is our Ethereal Visions. Well, it said stop. Ethereal Visions Tarot. Seven of Pentacles. I made that face because it keeps coming back around over and over. And the Seven of Cups, we literally just had, okay, what the heck? These two cards, let's see. First of all, the Seven of Cups just came through in the last reading, but on the top side, on the upright. And then Seven of Pentacles has been coming through just about in every reading I've done for myself and other people in the last week. I don't know what's going on. There's something about like the journey we're on, and maybe this is very much a collective humanity. Let's get big with this. This feels like, do you have time? Do you have time to get big with it? Agador does. He's obviously chilling. So the Seven of Pentacles, the way I feel about it lately and what's coming through here as well is this like journey that we're on right now, let's say as humanity. Let's just go big. And it feels like we've come so far, and it feels like a really, really big turning point in perspective and physicality. I mean, perspective shifts affect everything, right? It affects how we behave, how we feel, how we think. And so there's something here about, because like the Seven of Pentacles is a very grounded, meaning earth energy. It's about our daily life. It's about our journey through this life. This could be even bigger. This is like where humanity is right now, is like taking a pause and looking at like, oh God, this is where we've been and how we got here to this moment, and we're looking at like things going, how did we get here? And oh my God, what's to come? What's left? How do we move forward? So it feels like a really big pause, perspective shift, turning point kind of moment for us. And I bet you've been feeling it too, but this sucker keeps coming through loud and clear. Now it's being challenged in this case by the Seven of Cups, which is this card of like, I have a lot of choice. I have a lot of like really like big, it's like emotional decision making about how to move forward, how to turn the corner, which direction are we going to go now, and how am I going to move differently in the world. And this is like, but I have a lot of options. How do I decide? And so I think in the last reading, it was like we were being called to like really focus in and make really tough choices, maybe, or make any choice at all, but make it, you know. And so I'm getting all the chills because it feels like when things repeat to this degree, it's like, what is happening right now in the world? What is happening? Do you feel this in your life where you're like, yeah, I could keep going. I could like keep like on this journey, but something is really making me take a pause. We may not even understand why we feel this like need to like, there's like a moment right now that's like, focus. And it's like, but I don't know what to focus on. And it feels like that decision fatigue kind of thing. Maybe the fatigue of like having a lot of options and like spending a lot of mental energy on it and a lot of emotional investment into like, how, and so it does feel kind of hard right now. And it might not be that dramatic. It could just be like, I don't know, just not so dramatic, but more like a little lost feeling. Just like, what am I supposed to be deciding? Tell me, I'll decide it. It could be pretty simple, but just like nothing's like staring you in the face as far as like options. However, do you feel like something is bringing you to a clarifying, like things are like right now in your life? Sometimes I can't find the words. We just got to mime it out because these are feelings. Feelings don't, like, words don't do feelings much justice. My words don't anyway. So it's like, for me, I feel that. It almost feels like, yeah, there's a lot of options about where I put my energy, where I put my heart, my passion. I have so many passions, like which one do I choose and put everything behind? Because so far all these readings leading like for this whole year keep telling us focus your energy, harness it, point it in one direction, maybe two. I mean, you don't have to pick just one, but something's like maybe narrow the field a little bit so that your energy can be more powerful for the thing or things we do choose. And why is that? Are we being like prepared for something? Honestly, it feels that way. I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts on that, but that's for a whole separate video because I gotta go soon. But it feels like maybe we are in a time of preparation, and that means this is about harvesting. So, harvesting our most valuable resource is our energy and how we wield it. Well, this says we're not at harvest season yet, but we're taking a moment to say, is this what's going on in me? Like, is this what my energy is and looks like and feels like? And it feels diluted. That means I don't think it's going to amount to much. And so we're being asked, like, as we turn that corner to point toward the harvest, the time of harvest will come, meaning we're going to reap the fruits of our energy labors. We will see things come to fruition at some point, but now is the point where we're like, I need to work on my energy. I need to work on, first of all, maybe calling it back where I've let it like seep out into things like too many interests, too many distractions. Talk about distractions. Like there's cat hair, it's probably my own hairs. But like calling your energy back and then like also focus on now where do I want to put it, invest it, focus it from here forward. And does that mean choosing one direction or just choosing the one thing that calls to you the most right now? Try it on for size. We can keep course correcting all the way to harvest time as long as we kind of are orienting in that direction of like our greatest passions, our greatest interests, not just the shoulds or what we've been conditioned to believe we're good at. Oh, you're good at that. You should do that. What a trap. What a trap. So that it feels like more of that same energy. The nuance here being like we're at this pivotal moment and it's time to really like reflect because this person's like looking back at what they've like grown in their life so far. Like what is my energy signature right now? Does it feel like depleted, diluted? Does it feel really big and fiery and it could just burn up at any moment and then now I'm depleted? Because there's something about how we tend to the harvest along the way. How do we tend to our energy, frequency, signature, whatever you want to call it, that says, okay, every day I know I need to show up and have a movement practice. Maybe every day I need to have a stretching practice. I need to make sure I drink enough water. I want to start to eat only the things that really my body wants, needs. And it's, what I think sometimes is like, I would treat this body so much better if it was somebody else's body that I was tasked with like making it into the most optimized, healthful state. I don't think about it too much, but now it's coming to me of like, isn't that crazy? Like if little baby Agador, like I want to make sure Like he stays alive and healthy as long as possible. So I take him to the vet with like without fail to get all the things he needs and get his checkups. I don't do that for myself. And then make sure he's eating as good a food as we can find. You know, we're pretty reasonable about that. Pretty balanced, I hope. It could be better though. But I'm saying, like, I feel like I treat his body better than mine sometimes. And it's like, why? Why can't I treat all the bodies great, that I'm tasked with, like, caring for? Why does mine have to take the back seat a lot? Like, yeah, whatever, I could eat these whatevers. I'm trying to think what's my guilty pleasure right now. But you know what I mean? Just like, why don't we, and I say we because it's not just me, I know, but it may not be you, so I'm not saying that. But like, what is it that says, oh, it's okay, it's good enough? It's good enough. You're still alive. Feel okay. But no, it's like things we're being asked to like tend to our energy. So eating things that nourish us instead of deplete us, our energies, or eating, it could be nutrition, exercise, sunlight, which I'm a terrible example of in this room. But, all the things that a human body needs to feel optimized. Like that we're in a body. So that, and our body is it's like when I go back to energy, it's like that's the vehicle and the house of our energy. So if we're going to, I guess, make the most of our energy and have it as big and awesome and focused as possible, then that means I gotta take care of the vehicle. I gotta go get an oil change and like pump up my tires and whatever. So that's like a little call out to myself that I could still do a lot better than I'm doing in terms of tending to my own energy. And this is like, what's getting in the way? So when something's in the challenge position, it feels like it might be something that's getting in the way. How could too many things that we're putting our our focus and curiosity into really take away time and valuable resources, energy resources, into like taking care of our energy vehicle and powerhouse. I heard somebody say the other day, I really loved it, like, we are literally a battery. We're a battery. Like we take in nourishment and movement and build muscle and all of that so that we can store more energy so that it's available to us when we need it. So tying that back to a time of preparation, if humanity is in a time of preparation for something big, some big change that's happening, then we got to make sure our battery is not drained. We got to build it up, store as much as we can in there so that when we plug the battery into a passion we want to infuse with our energy, it's like, whew. So that's that. Let's think on that a while and see what comes up, because I'm sure there are many, when it's in the challenge position, I feel like sometimes it could be a matter of subtraction, like reducing the number of cups here. The 7 of Cups is like all the possibilities. And when it's in the challenge position, it might be asking us just to narrow those down a bit so that we are tending to our energy by like saying, okay, I'm going to stop letting it leak everywhere, right? Stop diluting it. What is it for you, if at all? I mean, maybe you feel awesomely optimized and you're already pointed in the direction that is your greatest passion, where like skills and passions collide. Skills, what is it? Skills, passion, opportunities. Do you already have that perfect mix of like, yes, this is what I was put here to do? A lot of us are still figuring that out, and that takes course correcting, trial and error. But we need energy resources to do that whole iterative process, right? So those are all, that's all. That's it. Bye. Hi, I lied. That's not it, apparently. I was just getting ready to put these cards away, and I was like, hold up. hold up. There's a couple of really interesting points here. These are both sevens. And when I think about my limited knowledge of numerology, but what's more important is like when things repeat, I pay attention, like pattern recognition. And with two sevens coming through, that to me, this is like this something of the spiritual nature this of our journey is really important here. Obviously, we're not just a body, but it's like there's something when I feel how big this repeating message is, it feels like not just like I started out in the reading saying like it's a human trajectory or human journey. This feels like a human spiritual journey, and that's being reflected here with the sevens, like spiritual, what do you call it? Attainment, achievement. I don't like those words, but this whole like actualization of your highest spiritual self in your journey, in your trajectory, in your lifetime. And then as a human collective, it feels like we're all doing that in some way. So there's that. And then, so that's like the bigness of this. And then the pentacles and cups, I think about, or how earth and water are so important to each other and what they do for each other. And so this like idea of containment, and I think I must talk about that a lot. I certainly think about it a lot, but this, how earth has a way, I was just thinking about this yesterday. It goes back to my childhood. So it's a big deal to me because I would play with this as a child. I was always like with a stick drawing lines in the sand of different sizes and waviness, and then pouring water and seeing like where it would go and making sure the water could keep flowing as long as possible down like the hill or something. And I have like clear visuals in my mind of doing this all the time as a kid. And it was the most fascinating thing to me. So this idea of that whatever that is for me is huge. And nothing is insignificant when we think about the memories from our earliest memories. Hopefully the positive ones, meaning during those free play moments, like what did you choose to do? Right? Like what were your fascinations that if you were left to your own playtime, what would you choose to pick up and be fascinated with? My other one was like ripping the legs off crickets. I've talked about that and I have deep remorse for those crickets, but I was like a little scientist trying to figure out like, oh my God, I just talked about this morning in the Daily Spark reading, like what is the bare essential thing that makes a cricket, where it can still keep being a cricket? Well, I kept removing all its body parts until I was like, oh, I guess it's still a cricket until it's dead. And so, yeah, I'm not happy about that one. So let's just set that aside. But this idea of containment is really important to me for some reason. And so when it shows up here as like earth and water energy, I think about how it's kind of like, I haven't thought about this, but our job to like tend to the container, if you think about, and I've talked about this before, I know, the container, like what a pond looks like versus the banks of a river versus the, what else holds water? You know, like the far spread shores of a giant sea or ocean. Like there's different size and shaped containers, and they all inform how the water is going to behave. It's like the way that water allows itself to be harnessed in a direction or into just diffused calmness. You know, it's I think about that a lot. I'm getting all the chills. So there's something here perhaps maybe for us about not just like this pivot moment in time that's saying, hey, take stock of your resources, your energy resources, and what can you do to optimize them and focus them. Not just the what you can do, but how we're tending to our container. And I guess it's kind of the same thing in a way. Like, what are we doing is kind of like how we're like tending to it. But it could be more than that. I don't know. I haven't thought yet. But it's like, how high are our banks, or how flat is our shoreline? Are we allowing the water to just wash up over everything so that we can have more freedom and reach? Or are we being very rigid so that there's more like structure, so that our flow is more like potently directed, you know? And so I love metaphors because we can all feel into it, how it affects us or resonates with us in our own specific situations. Because if I'm too specific, then it kind of, I don't know, I don't like specifics all that much sometimes, which is part of my problem. Because this whole this whole trajectory we're on is like, with us being asked to focus, that means going from abstract, broad, la 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 la, to very clear, focused, energy. And it's like, but I'm not good at that. So maybe it's all me, but I'm feeling it as a really big call to action right now. So are you also, or are you already good? You're like, I've been doing this, I'm good. And because some people have the opposite challenge, of being like too specific and being asked to like loosen the reins, open the blinders, see more broadly. So this may not resonate with everyone. Totally understand that. But if you're like me, man, this is like really calling me out and saying it's time to like focus in. As the kids say these days, time to lock in. We've been saying that forever though. I just think it's funny how these phrases like gain like popularity for a generation, and then we think it's ours. I just love language. But yeah, it's time to lock in. Okay, that was it. Bye.